Third wave of COVID-19 infections have started to grip South Korea. Country reported 255 new virus cases on Monday, a day after government imposed tighter social distancing rules to contain the spread of the virus. South Korea recorded 330 infections on Sunday. Country witnessed a record surge of over 300 new cases for 5 consecutive days last week. The government on Sunday introduced stricter social distancing rules for the capital Seoul and nearby regions. The latest curbs include closing of bars and nightclubs in the city, limiting religious gatherings, and restricting services inside restaurants. Restrictions are to take effect from Tuesday.
수도권의 2단계 거리두기 적용에 따라 많은 국민들이 일상의 불편을 겪게 될 것이며 특히 소상공인과 자영업자 등 서민 경제에 큰 어려움이 야기될 것입니다. 진심으로 송구스러우며 한시라도 빨리 코로나19 유행을 차단하기 위해 총력을 다하겠습니다.
According to Health Ministry, the nationwide outbreak was being driven by clusters of infections in the densely populated Seoul metropolitan area. South Korea's total caseload now stands at 31,004, with over 500 deaths due to COVID-19. South Korea has so far managed to weather its COVID-19 epidemic without major lockdowns, relying instead on an aggressive test and quarantine campaign. However, the latest outbreak has once again sparked serious concerns among the authorities. Joining us now is my colleague Bruce Harrison, who joins us from Seoul. Bruce, what's the latest situation in South Korea? What are the new curbs and restrictions that the government has imposed?
Shobit, health officials have also called the situation grave and said that it has the potential to be the worst wave of the coronavirus here yet if they don't take these measures quickly. So like you said, from Tuesday, a level 2 social distancing takes effect. It's part of a 5-tier system. It's the 3rd level, and under that, bars, nightclubs, places that are licensed properly as nightclubs and bars will be closed down entirely. On top of that, restaurants, cafes, which can also serve alcohol, but food as well, different licensing, they'll have to stop serving by 9 p.m. Those are some of the biggest changes South Koreans are going to have to deal with. They have dealt with similar restrictions before, including that 9 p.m. Cutoff time for serving of food and beverages at restaurants and cafes, and they responded well. The public was responsible at that time, and the result was that COVID-19 numbers fell. And like I said, the government believes if it doesn't deal with this quickly, it could be the worst wave yet. And there's a lot of pressure to tackle this as quickly as possible and see that the numbers start falling, because it's been nearly a week now of roughly 300 cases every day, which is some of the highest numbers we've seen in months.
Absolutely, Bruce, you said it right. It's important for the local authorities to control this third wave when the numbers are still somewhat controllable, 300 across the country. So it's important that the authorities are putting focus on it now before it becomes a bigger issue. How are people across South Korea accepting these new restrictions? And secondly, what's the reason being given for a sudden spike in the number of cases?
By and large, people are responding well. Anytime you go into a cafe or restaurant right now, the staff quickly either scan a QR code on your phone, or you're required to sign a form with your neighborhood where you live and your phone number. So if there is a positive case in those establishments, you can be properly traced and tested. I've never seen a case where somebody felt that they weren't going to do that. And there's also a mask rule in place right now that took effect in early November that will fine you if you're not wearing a mask in most public places. The public has responded to that positively as well. Yes, we're nearing some of the holidays here, and I'm sure people aren't excited about the fact that they'll have to stop their late-night activities. But we've seen this country respond well to similar restrictions before and get through this. The government right now, Shobit, as far as where these cases are coming from, hasn't said it's as much from people going out and congregating in public spaces, but more, they believe, cases among family and friends who are gathering together at homes where they feel comfortable and safe. and taking off their masks. So those gatherings, they believe, are some of the sources of these new cluster infections. And there's a lot of pressure right now to tackle this because on December 3rd, South Korea is hosting its national college entrance exam. Well, at least it's scheduled for December 3rd. If they don't bring this under control, there's concern they won't be able to host that very important exam for kids across the country.
Bruce Harrison, thank you so much for joining us and getting us the latest as South Korea battles a possible third wave of a surge in coronavirus cases.